For years, I believed that healing was a matter of force. I thought if I just built walls high enough, if I disciplined myself hard enough, I could finally silence the part of me that was addicted. I treated my own mind like a battleground. But here is the quiet, devastating truth I learned after years of losing that war. You cannot heal a part of yourself by trying to kill it. The harder I ran from my shadow, the faster it chased me. I was exhausted, and maybe you are too. Maybe you're tired of the cycle, the shame, the promises to do better, the inevitable crash. What if I told you that your addiction isn't a monster trying to destroy you? What if, as Carl Jung believed, it is actually a messenger, a desperate, misguided attempt by your soul to find something it has lost? In this video, we are going to stop fighting. We are going to start listening. We'll look at addiction through the lens of Jungian psychology, and I'll share the tools, like shadow work and breath work, that help me turn a war into a homecoming. Let's look at what actually happens in that loop of addiction. It usually starts with a whisper, a feeling of unease, a hollowness in the chest, a boredom that feels unsafe, and the addiction, whether it's a substance, a person, or the blue light of a screen, offers a promise. It promises silence. It promises that for a moment you won't have to feel that ache. So we try to resist. We call it willpower. We grit our teeth and say, "I will not do this." We count the days. We feel proud of our control. But willpower is a finite resource. It's like holding a beach ball underwater. You can do it for a while, but eventually your arms get tired. And when they do, the ball flies up with twice the force. This is why the battle mentality fails. When we try to crush our cravings with willpower, we are ignoring the reason the craving exists in the first place. We are patching a leak in the roof while the foundation is cracking. We label the part of us that needs the addiction as bad or weak. We shove it into the dark. But as we'll see, that darkness is exactly where we need to go. Not to fight, but to find out what has been left behind. If this is starting to resonate, if you're feeling that this internal war isn't a fight you have to keep fighting, then I want to invite you to continue on this journey. The path forward isn't about fighting harder. It's about learning to listen differently. If you want to learn more about these tools for integration, make sure you subscribe and click the bell. And I'd be honored if you would share a piece of your own story in the comments. Just writing, "I'm tired of fighting," can be a powerful first step. You are not alone in this. Carl Jung, the great Swiss psychiatrist, offered a perspective that shifts everything. He famously suggested that addiction is not a disease of the body, but a crisis of the spirit. In a letter to the co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, Jung wrote something profound. The craving for alcohol was the equivalent, on a low level, of the spiritual thirst of our being for wholeness. Spiritus contra spiritum, spirit against spirit. He meant that we are thirsty, deeply spiritually thirsty. We crave connection, meaning aliveness and peace. But in a world that often demands we disconnect from our true selves to fit in, we lose access to that high spirit. So the psyche, in its desperation, reaches for a low spirit, a chemical or behavioral substitute, to fill the void. This means your addiction isn't a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that you are starving for your own soul. This starvation comes from what Jung called the shadow. The shadow is simply the collection of all the parts of us we were taught were unlovable. The anger we weren't allowed to show, the vulnerability that was called weakness, the creativity that was called a waste of time. We locked these parts away to survive. But here is the catch. When you lock away your pain, you also lock away your power. You become incomplete, and addiction is simply the attempt to fill that gap where your authentic self used to be. So if we stop fighting, what do? We integrate. We open the door to the basement and invite the shadow back upstairs. This might sound abstract, but it is actually very practical. It's not about fixing yourself. It's about knowing yourself. Here are 2 ways to begin that conversation. Invitation 1. Shadow work, the dialogue. Shadow work is simply the act of making the unconscious conscious. It is learning to sit with the parts of you that you usually run from. One of the most gentle ways to do this is through journaling, but not just writing about your feelings, writing to them. Try the 3-2-1 approach. Next time you feel a strong trigger, envy, rage, or a deep craving, don't push it away. Instead, grab a notebook. First, observe it. Describe the feeling or the person triggering you as if you are a reporter. I see arrogance. I see someone taking up too much space. Second, speak to it. Write a dialogue. Ask that feeling, why are you here? What are you trying to protect me from? Third, and this is the magic, be it. Write from the perspective of that feeling. I am arrogance. I act this way because I am terrified of being small. When you do this, you stop being the victim of your emotions and start becoming the vessel for them. You realize that the monster was just a frightened part of you asking to be seen. Invitation 2. Breath work, the anchor. While shadow work heals the mind, we must also signal safety to the body. Often, our addiction is just a way to regulate a nervous system that feels unsafe. We don't need complex drills. We just need to remind the body that it is here and it is okay. We can use a rhythm called box breathing. It's a way of telling your nervous system, we are safe. We don't need to run. Let's try it, just for a moment. Exhale everything out. Now, inhale slowly. 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath gently. 2, 3, 4. Exhale softly. 2, 3, 4. And hold the empty space. 2, 3, 4. When you do this, you are building a pause. And in that pause, you have a choice. You are teaching your body that it can handle discomfort without needing to escape. Healing addiction is not a straight line. It is a spiral. It is a slow, often messy process of individuation, of becoming who you truly are. For a long time, you may have viewed your addiction as the enemy. But what if it was the breadcrumb trail leading you back to yourself? What if the pain was just a knock on the door asking you to let your true self back in? You don't need to fight anymore. You don't need to amputate parts of your soul to be good. You just need to be brave enough to sit with the dark until your eyes adjust and you realize it was you all along. If you are ready to stop fighting and start coming home, let me know in the comments. We are walking this path together.